So, being in the outdoors, you say that like it helps for you. That's your church. That's like
Yeah,
you.
it's my
That
church.
helps you realize that you're human.
Mm.
What do you say to people that don't don't enjoy or agree with like hunting in general, like killing animals for no reason? Do you first off, do you eat the animals?
Everything I get.
Mad respect for that too, because
See,
a lot of people don't
see
do that.
what I think the biggest thing is, and I've watched enough and heard enough about this, is like trophy hunting. Like you can't, like my uncle's, he can't eat the horns. You know, they're cool to look at. You can't eat them.
Yeah,
But I mean, that's also the fun of going out there is like getting the big one. You know, because obviously that deer to get that big has gone years and years of not getting seen by hunters, not been shot by a hunter. Like
yeah,
to finally get that big one, it's kind of like I finally outsmarted the smartest one out here in the
yeah,
woods. You know, but my biggest thing is like if you don't, I just under I get it. You know, if you don't want to eat the meat and you think animal cruelty is fine, but like you have to understand too. For me to put a bullet through that deer's lungs or an arrow through it, it's couple years ago I shot a buck and hit him through both lungs. He ran 10 yards and died within seconds.
mm-hmm.
Now, so yeah, I killed the animal. I ate every bit of it, and I enjoy cooking it. It's a lot more. I enjoy cooking in general, but I enjoy cooking everything I kill because you put the time in out in the woods. You sat in the cold. You sat in the rain. You sat in the
And even
snow.
when you were explaining to me all the different things that you have to take into account, like where they're going to eat and versus where they're staying,
You
and
got
all
to
these different
pat
wind
them
patterns
out.
and whatnot. Like,
It's you put the time in. You sit in there, and to finally get it, you have to clean it. You know, you have to take the guts out and like not to get too gory, but like you have to process it, and then when you finally have it on your table, you have a slab of meat, you cook it up the way you want to, and you get to share it with friends and family. And like to me, like that, the experience of it all is like going out there and sitting through the elements,
yeah,
the weather, taking the process of it and appreciating that animal, whether it's a goose, duck, squirrel,
yeah,
rabbit, deer, whatever it is. You go through the process of sitting through it, you get it, and then you get to come home, cook it up, and share it with friends and family.
yeah,
And if I didn't, if that deer didn't get shot then, he was either going to get shot by somebody else that might not have eaten everything off of it,
yeah,
or let's say a pack of coyotes come up and that deer is laying there until it just bleeds out as 6 or 7 coyotes
yeah.
pick it apart, or wolves, or a bear.
I get what you're saying. I think
it's a more peacefully death, or they die of starvation in the wintertime of old age. Like as cruel as it sounds, like I shot it, that's the quickest, fastest death it'll ever see in the outdoors.
yeah.
So it's kind of more humane.
Well, and I think when you describe all the other aspects that go into it, even someone like me, so like I don't really I only take problem with like people that are like you can tell some people are like super excited just to kill things.
Oh,
and
yeah.
those people freak me out just a little bit. I think
Oh.
rightfully so, and there's a lot of guys that do that. But I think if you're comparing like the whole process that you just laid out versus a factory farm, me eating a burger that I bought from Walmart or whatever, like that's I would say, and because I'm big, I love animals, like I'm totally like hate all that animal cruelty shit. And so like for me, and I still be fucking eating shit from Walmart and whatever. Like I trying to I'm against it and
See,
I try
I
and do what I
spend-
can, but
I spend the extra money if I'm not eating something I ate, like I'll buy a burger or something.
Yeah.
Like I'll try to find the stuff. It's more
like
expensive.
grass fed,
Grass-fed, grain-fed, humanely, like factory
Exactly.
farms are terrible.
Yeah, and that's-
Chickens don't get that big for like.
Exactly. Well, and that's the whole thing. So like that's where I being someone who like I just don't personally want to go hunting, I can respect that standpoint of it where I think that it's like infinitely better for animal. Imagine if everybody had to go out and get. I mean, how long did the deer last you too? If you got a huge buck.
If you got a really big one that's really old, like a good one's like 6, maybe 7, and that's where they kind of start dying off, and their antlers don't get so big no more, and it's just harder for them to get through the winter times. And but like
How long would that last you, like food wise?
food wise, I mean, if I had every meal out of it, it'd probably last me a year. If I got 2 a year, it'd last me an entire year.
And so like I think that that's where like I can make like where people are like totally anti-hunting. I think that's like a little dicey. Like I don't think they have a lot of like room to stand on. Where it's like I think definitely should be against like animal cruelty and these like factory farm bullshit. But like doing something like that is so much better and feeds you for so much longer. If everybody did that,
You take more pride in it too, and because the time you had to spend to practice with your gun or your bow.
Yeah.
You know, you had to put the time in for that. So like my
And
season,
you know where it came from. Like you know every step of the way.
All
Like
natural.
it wasn't some cow, you know, or
It's
some
all
chicken
natural.
raised in a fucking 1x1, you
Mhm.
know, little thing that was getting basically eating its own shit and then getting
Yep.
injected with hormones, and then you end up eating that 5 years from now.
See,
Like,
I do have an issue with trophy hunters, the guys that just shoot for racks or and do illegal shit. I have an issue with that, and I have an issue with guys that, I mean, I had a few bad shots, and that just comes with like Tom Brady, best quarterback ever.
yeah.
He still throws an interception every now and then.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
absolutely,
Like
yeah,
you can
exactly.
you can shoot all you want, you still make a bad
You're
shot.
you're still
I
gonna
had
miss.
a few bad shots last year, but I try to shoot them where I know it's gonna be quick and painless for them, and like I take pride in like making it as merciful of a kill for them.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they do suffer. And then like last year I walked 8 miles through the woods last year to try to find a deer I shot, and I had just a bad shot, something went wrong, and I mean I've still lose sleep to this night about losing that deer, and just knowing that so hopefully someone else shot it as it ran past and got it.
Yeah.
But it makes me my stomach turn. I lose sleep over not finding it and just having a bad shot, and
I get
I mean,
that.
it eats me away. But it's a roller coaster of emotion when you've been sitting there for a couple hours and it's kind of raining or snowing and it's just whatever, and you finally see that thing come in. And you're like, oh, it's so like you get that adrenaline. You have to like calm your breath down. Then you finally pull back or you pull your gun up, and then like that, and then you shoot, and you're just like the gun goes off, or that's the sound of when your arrow hits that. It's just like you have adrenaline going on. You're like, ho ho ho, and then like for me, I watched my one just lay down and die. So it's like I know it's dead, and then it's just like you kind of I felt so shooken up. It wasn't like I'm like jumping around screaming like I got one. It's just more or less like the nerves kind of come down, and then I go up to it, and I'm like, and then you just like then the process starts. But like I don't get down and kiss the animal and pray with the animal, but like I do appreciate what I have in front of me and the work I got to get there, and what it's gonna go to is me and eating, and I understand people don't like it, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But like we were talking about earlier, like you might not have the same opinion I do, but at least respect me for doing what I do, and I respect you for not doing it.
Yeah, and I think
both honorable.
Yeah, and I think when that's where like I've always kind of had a similar stance where it's like something that I just don't do personally, but I'm not against like people going hunting, especially when you're gonna take care of the animal. You take pride in what you do, like you're serious about the craft. Like there's nothing who can argue. Like what are you gonna say? Like if you're mad at this person, then you better be 10 times more mad at these people for doing
farming
this
these cows.
And people might, and I'm sure there are people that are mad at both things, and that's fair, and they can have that,
respect you.
But yeah, I don't know. I think that's an interesting conversation, and I think that hunting, or at least a lot of people that maybe think like me and don't want to go out and try it, or don't want to go do it,
That's
whatever. Fine. They got to get off their high horse, thinking that like they're just like a better person because they've never done it.
Besides the fact that like it feeds me for years, like you have to understand, like for the ecosystem, it puts everything in check and balance. The wolves can only eat so many deer, and if you have too many wolves and they eat all the deer, and then they take over.
What would happen if there was too many deer? Are deer like a invasive? Would they do anything though crazy?
Well, I mean, you go up north too. I mean, they start colonizing subdivisions. Like, look how many raccoons and possums you see running through the cities nowadays. Not that I'm gonna go out and shoot a possum, I need a possum, but everything plays a balance to it too. And a lot of people don't understand. Like, turkeys were almost extinct in the United States in the early 1900s and same thing with white-tailed deer, just due to like the trade and the fur trade and everything going on for the outdoorsmen. Back when they first colonized America, they'd go out and skin deer, sell deer hides.
So was it overhunting?
Overhunted, and because then now we have the DNR or Game and Fish. They give out so many licenses and tags. They go out and survey, like, okay, we know there's this many deer in this area. We can have this many deer. We can give out these many tags for this
still
many
have
hunters.
a healthy population. Yeah.
Maintain a healthy population. Same thing with coyotes, which are crazy.
Yeah.
Because turkeys and whitetails were almost extinct in the early 1900s.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
But because of Game and Fish, and they regulated, you can hunt this many, you can kill this many this time of year, whatever. Now turkeys are in 48 out of the 50 states, so not Alaska or Hawaii.
Yeah.
And then white-tailed deer are plentiful, so plentiful in fact that like I think Pennsylvania, has the most collisions with white-tailed deer.
Damn, that sucks for them.
Oh, it's
That's
I
sad
mean,
that- yeah,
it's
we
like 1
helped
in
them
5
stay
cars.
alive, yeah, so that they could get smoked by cars.
Exactly.
Thanks for watching that last video, guys. Click right over here to see the episode in its entirety, or click over here to subscribe and check out all the other cool shit we have on the channel. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Do it.